Okay, in the previous video, we have seen that when the interest rate is compounded annually, which formula shall we use to find the total amount of money accumulated? Now, in this video, I will show you how do we do this if the interest rate is compounded more than once a year, which means when what do we do if the interest is paid for several times a year, maybe 2 times a year, 4 times a year? Now let's take a look at this example, and I will use this example to show you how did we derive that formula. Okay, so this problem says there is a $500 invested for 2 years at 4% interest rate, and now the interest rate is compounded semi-annually, and we want to find the amount of money at the end of the second year. Okay, now the semi-annually means the interest is paid twice a year. Therefore, for 2 years, the interest will be paid for 4 times. And another thing is because the interest is paid twice a year, so every time the interest rate is splitted into 2%. Okay, because the total interest rate for 1 year is 4%, and if you paid it twice a year, so each time the interest rate we're going to use to do the calculation will be 2%. Okay. So here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0 means the amount of money at the beginning of the first year. So this is 500, and 1 means the amount of money at the end of the amount of money after the interest is paid for the first time, and 2 means the amount of money after the interest is paid the second time, and this is a interest rate when the interest is paid the third time, and when the interest is paid for the fourth time. Okay. So at time 0, there will be $500. Now let's take a look at time 1. At time 1, we have the $500 and plus the interest earned by the $500. So the interest rate we're using to calculate that is 0.02. So this will be 500 plus $10. So that would be $510. Okay, and because we have the 200, we have 500 and 500. So if we factor this out, so 510 we can write as 500 times 1 plus 0.02. Well, now let's take a look at the time 2. So time 2 corresponding to the end of the first year, and time 1 is corresponding to the end of June, right? And time 3 is corresponding to the end of the June of the second year, and time 4 is corresponding to the end of the second year. Okay. Now at time 2, we will have $510 and plus the interest rate. the interest earned by the 510. Okay. Now we fact out 510. We can write this way. And because 510 is equal to this, now I write 510 in terms of 500 times 1 plus 0.02 and multiply by a second of 1 plus 0.02. Therefore, I can write the total amount of money into this way: 500 times 1 plus 0.2 squared. And this is equal to 520.2. Now at time 3 we have 520.2 plus the interest is a 520 plus 0.2 times 0.02, and we fact out 520.2. We have this. Now 520.2, because it equals this, so I use 500 times 1 plus 0.02 squared to represent 520.2 and multiply by 1 plus 0.02. Now I will have 500 times 1 plus 0.02 to the third. Okay. Therefore, we can see we will see at the end of the second year, or at the time 4, the total amount of money can be written into this way: 500 times 1 plus 0.02 to the power of 4. And if we calculate this, it will be around 541.22 cents. So this will be the amount of money accumulated at the end of the second year, when the interest rate is compounded semi-annually. Okay, semi-annually. Now, when the interest rate is compounded more than once a year, the formula we are using is this. Now, P is the principal, and the A is the total amount of money accumulated. And the R is the interest rate. Now T is the number of years. Now M is the number of time the interest is compounded. Which the interest is compounded. When n equals 1, then the interest is compounded annually. And when n equals 2, the interest is compounded semi-annually. When n equals 4, the interest is compounded quarterly. And when n equals 12, it's compounded monthly. And if it's 52, it will be compounded weekly. And if it's 365, the interest is compounded daily.